You know, I see what the first-person shooter market has been doing lately, and I'm sort of left just wondering if we'll ever return to the good old days, you know? I mean, Battlefield this year has been a major disappointment that I don't see it really getting out from under. Call of Duty is in that lull of a time where the games are just starting to look like reskins of the previous title. Hopefully Modern Warfare 2 will change that, and the BR formula is just plain tiring for me personally. So when I make my return to games like Titanfall 2, it really makes me wonder just what could have been if this game was given the opportunity to succeed. It's a gem that has never found its way out of the rough, and the impact of that needs to be talked about in retrospect, I feel. G'day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today I want to take a moment to return to Titanfall 2 and talk about why it is to this day one of the biggest missed opportunities of the modern day first-person shooter market. I've made it absolutely no secret that I've always loved Titanfall as a franchise, and despite that, every time I make a return here, I consider it a bittersweet moment. It's sweet because, well, Titanfall 2 comes in as one of my favourite, if not my favourite first-person shooter title of all time. I know that may come as a bit of a shock to many, especially my PlanetSide 2 compadres who are watching this right now, but it's true. Titanfall 2 to me has always provided that perfect mix of in-world immersion and skill-based gameplay that offers every player the means to do well with a very rewarding skill curve. But it's always a bitter return as well, because goddamn, there is no denying where and what this franchise could be doing right now if it was given the proper opportunity to do those things. Titanfall's failure to consistently capture an audience as a franchise is something that I've never really pitted on the quality of the product itself. I mean, sure, Titanfall 1 did lack a lot in the way of depth and content back in the day. I mean, I know many called it a $60 proof of concept title for the game's movement mechanics and Titan mechanics, because it kind of was. That was an accurate description for the game. But man, did those concepts work. They just needed further refinement, a package of content that lived up to the potential that they provided on their own accord, and we would have had a true winner on our hands. And then Titanfall 2 was announced, and man, did it get it right. It took the existing formula and the things that the first game did right, but did it with more on offer. More Titans, more progression, more customization, more ways to play, more maps, modes, and of course, a fully fleshed out single player campaign. One of the best shooter campaigns of our time for that matter. It was shaping up to be a frontrunner in the first-person shooter scene. That was until it was planted to release right in between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Battlefield 1 was shaping up to be a truly hype release, and EA clearly wanted Titanfall 2 to take a stab at the arena shooter market that Call of Duty had a death grip on for so long. But I mean, even with Infinite Warfare's controversial release and reception, dethroning a titan like Call of Duty is a tall ask for any IP. The game was sadly very quickly sidelined by many despite its incredible critical reception due to, well, it releasing in an overly competitive time. Even beyond that rough initial selling period, the game hasn't really been a stranger to further struggles as well. I mean, as soon as it gained traction again in 2020, I believe, it became the target for DDoS attacks soon after. I don't remember exactly why this happened again, but the DDoS attacks quickly killed any momentum the game had garnered by release into Steam, once again dragging the game back into the rough. The point is, the game has suffered blow after blow, and I can't help but feel sorry for it. And despite all these odds, there's still a dedicated, albeit small community that has been hanging around digging their teeth deep into what this game has to offer. This has been partly thanks to the community-built northstar mod client that gives players the option to host and run dedicated community servers, which is an excellent way to enjoy the game now if you're interested in making a return to Titanfall 2 and you're still concerned about these DDoS attacks. I've left a link in the description down below for those who want to take a look at Northstar. It's pretty simple to set up, and there's plenty of ways to enjoy the game with these community servers. And after coming back, reinstalling the game and installing this Northstar client, I was pleasantly surprised with what I found. Now, no, the game isn't rocking hundreds of servers with thousands of players, but there's a wide variety of experiences on offer here depending on your region of choice. In the OCE region, I was able to find some pretty consistent pilot versus pilot and skirmish servers, both of which were modes that I never really dove into that much in the game's heyday because, well, attrition was where it was back in the day, but I actually found myself gravitating most towards the pilot versus pilot server in my return, which is why you'll see no Titan gameplay in this video. And during that experience, it made me realize something so important when it comes to Titanfall as a game that I don't think I ever appreciated as much in those earlier years of its lifespan. At least not to this extent. The game, even when you remove the Titans from the equation, is such a good, skill-based first-person shooter. The gunplay, the movement, the ways in which you can min-max your abilities and tools to make the most of said movement. The developers at Respawn understood that above all else, their game was a first-person shooter. For their game to have a chance, they couldn't just rely on the quote-unquote stage pieces like Titans and hell, even the parkour system to carry the game. The core first-person shooter element of the game had to also be top tier to compete in this overly competitive market. The fact that they understood this and crafted a core FPS experience that offered such a skill curve while being approachable to the brand new player is a big reason why I've always admired what the game has accomplished, and spending time in the game again without the Titans present I think has given me an opportunity to appreciate that a bit more. I mean hell, the weaponry arsenal on its own and how balanced it is a big aspect as to why this game got so much right at a base level in my opinion. There are weapons in the game that behave very much how you would expect them to traditionally. You know, assault rifles like the Hemlock or R201, then the SMGs like the Car and the R97, and even the Spitfire LMG. They all behaved how you would expect them to in a shooter, and they acted as nice, grounded options for all players of all skill levels to pick up and have some degree of success with. But then you had weapons that carried more niche roles, but at the same time sported much larger potential rewards for using them well, but also had higher skill floors. The Kraber assault rifle, for example, one of the few weapons in the game that can one-shot, one-kill a fully health player at any range, but was also one of the only projectile-based weapons in the game that required you to compensate for bullet travel time and target movement. This game knew how to make classes of weaponry that were traditionally viewed as cheesy or cheap as skillful, and almost as though there was a rite of passage to use them before you could use them to their full potential. And when you see someone go zooming past you on the map only to blast you with a Kraber at top speeds, it's kind of impressive to watch. What I'm getting at here is that the game ensured that the baseline first-person shooter experience was solid before Titans ever came along. That's not to say that Titans made the experience worse, it's just saying that the developers spent the time to craft the foundation to work off of before getting to the party piece of the game. And as a result, this is without a doubt one of the most balanced cases of David versus Goliath in the modern day first-person shooter market I've ever seen. The Titan versus pilot dynamic, that is. When you craft a good baseline and then work onto that with unique mechanics and sales pitches to potential players, you are typically going to see much better results. We are seeing a lot of the opposite take place in the wider first-person shooter industry at the moment. Games like Battlefield 2042 are a good example of putting the cart before the horse, focusing on headline features like larger player counts and specialists that are designed to sell you microtransactions later down the line, all before crafting a solid experience that caters to and welcomes those key features in a positive and intuitive way. And I see a lot of people criticize games like that by saying they're just there to make you money, which, and I think I'm going to cop a bit of flack for this, I think is the wrong way to drive that criticism in those scenarios. Because, duh, of course games are made to make money. Every game that is released for a price through any medium is designed around the sole intention of making the developers money. Game devs are just artists within a certain medium, and artists also like to make money. People don't like it, but it's true. A game that isn't made with the intent of making money is an exception to the rule. Video games are inherently designed to sell you, the consumer, an experience. And where Titanfall succeeded is it understood that for the game to succeed, it needed to sell you the experience from top to bottom. It couldn't just rely on the showpieces that were Titans to carry the entire experience, because that's only 50% of the time you're going to be spending in game. It needed the good core FPS mechanics to work off to get there. Battlefield 2042 put the cart before the horse on all fronts, which in turn sees a game releasing at a price that promises a complete cohesive experience, but instead offers a mess of selling points that don't talk to each other too well. So when I look back at what Titanfall achieved by being one of the best first-person shooter experiences out there while sporting a unique mech versus pilot experience that, despite all odds, was a balanced and enjoyable experience for all involved, yeah, I find myself thinking, damn, was this a gem that could just never find its way out of the rough? And all of this was formatted into a fun arena shooter environment that let you get your fix in either a quick 10-minute match or in a full-blown 6-hour session. I find it a bit interesting, you know. Apex Legends has just launched its, 12th season now, I think, and as it is technically the spiritual successor to Titanfall 2 at this stage, I find it funny that they've been slowly experimenting with more traditional team-orientated modes again. Control, their latest game mode that pits Legends into a 9v9 domination-style game mode with set loadouts, is some of the most fun I've had in Apex Legends lately. I actually really enjoy Apex Legends gunplay for the most part, but the BR format grows tired on me really quickly, so this was a nice change of pace for Apex's core FPS gameplay for me. Personally, that is. But, you know, I found myself just thinking a little, shit, this feels like a shell of what could have been. And we already had what could have been. It was Titanfall. I feel like I'm missing movement mechanics. I feel like I'm missing a greater skill curve. I feel like I'm missing what was an excellent format for a first-person shooter and its mechanics. You know, Control almost feels tacked on to what Apex Legends was meant to be from the get-go, which I suppose isn't fair in its own right because I can tell some work went into making the mode work logically, and as I said, it's definitely the most fun I've had with Apex in a long time, but that sense of depth still feels lacking to me personally. And I just find it ironic that a battle royale game has started making more efforts to tap back into the arena shooter market when the very studio attempting to develop it already had such an impressive IP and back to work off already for a successful arena shooter title. What I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, is that I truly believe that Titanfall 2 released to an audience that simply wasn't ready for it. The distracted gaming community at the time of its release, the developers that were dealt an uphill battle they could never get out from under of, and an underappreciative, almost dismissive publisher all contributed to a game that really got so much right, seeing such little attention or support. And goddammit, I'm now ready for the next Titanfall, or for the next Titanfall-esque game. I really want to see the gaming industry make a return to creating these fleshed out, unique, innovative, and quality first-person shooter experiences. An experience that isn't just built on maximizing the low efforts to profits ratio, but is built on the prospect of giving players a playground where they can hone their skills and form connections with the community as they build the memories that come from games like this around Triumph. Titanfall is a franchise that I hold so dear to my heart in particular, so I hope that one day we see a Titanfall 3. Respawn in a statement recently have stated that Titanfall is a part of their DNA and that the franchise will continue to be a core part of their studio. But at this stage, I don't want to hold out too much hope. I know Apex is a moneymaker, so I know where the majority of Respawn's time and effort will be focused for the considerable future. I just really hope that soon we see another studio take on the challenge of heading the next big take on the skill-based arena shooter market. The one game that has got my attention lately, and I can't wait to play soon, is Leap. The early gameplay from those initial tech tests has me just a little too excited for my own good, and all I can really do is hope that the game comes out swinging and captures that addicting skill curve that I've been longing for as of late. And you can bet your ass that once the game does come out, guys, I'll be here playing it. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to backhand the like button. This was something a little bit different for me. I don't normally do this retrospective-esque content, but I actually had a lot of fun doing it. So again, if you enjoyed it, backhand the like button. It goes a long way to supporting this channel. If you're brand new and want to keep up with more of my stuff, consider subscribing because we're going to be covering a lot of first-person shooters this year. I'm trying to branch out a bit beyond my PlanetSide 2 roots, but don't worry guys, I'm still sticking with PlanetSide 2. The game has got an exciting year ahead of it, so we're not going anywhere on that front. As always, my social media links are linked in the description down below, so be sure to check out that as well, guys. Once again, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.